understanding that we can be happy, we can feel the full joy, we can feel content, whatever it is for you that you want to feel, that it's something you could feel now without anything changing is everything. Welcome to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast, where correction is out, connection is in, and your kids want to listen to you. I'm ANDEE Martineau, creator of Connect Method Parenting, here to help you stay calm, confident, and connected no matter what. Yo, everybody, welcome back. So glad you're here with me. It's early in the morning for me. We had the most incredible, beautiful thunderstorm last night, and this morning it got me up a little early, so I decided, hey, I'm just going to come record this podcast episode that I've been getting ready for y'all for a while. So that's what we're doing. We're talking about this concept that it doesn't get any better than this. What? Am I crazy? What am I talking about? We're going to unpack it, I promise. It's going to make sense at the end. It's something I've been working on for many years. It seems like every year I adopt some kind of new thought. I remember when my thought was, this is happening and it's okay, which really looked like me just adding it's okay to every resistant, judgmental thought I had to try to calm my nervous system down. I would add it to sentences like, the kids are fighting. And instead of, it's not okay, which is what my brain liked to present to me, I would say, it is okay. This makes sense. It's safe. Or you just lost your cool with your kids. And instead of being judgmental, I would say, it's okay. And I used that thought to reconcile my past beliefs with my new beliefs. That because of our complicated nervous system, I was trying to really embody the truth that I felt to be true, but I wasn't always able to remember it in the moment, that everyone's doing their best, even if that best is really terrible. And if a situation looked really dire or frustrating or just not the way I wanted it to be, like a destroyed kitchen, laundry all over my laundry room, whatever it was, messy bathroom. I have a thing about cleanliness and I've really had to work on it because I was very resistant to it. Adding it's okay to the end allowed me to have a nervous system that wasn't activated so that I could navigate a situation from truth, from peace, and in a way I respected. So it's really supercharged my ability to be able to show up the way I want to. And I talk about this all of the time. If you're listening and you're in one of my programs inside of League, if you're going through the pivot, if you're in CMP Mastery, you hear me talk about this concept all of the time. And I think we have to hear it about 1,000, maybe 1,000,000 times. I don't know, repetition to retrain the neural pathway. So it's been super challenging and super life-changing to practice and eventually adopt that thought. Once I started believing that in the moment it was okay, and I was able to show up in a way I was embodying that and believing that was my filter, I definitely up-leveled my life. And that's why I'm looping in this new thought. So that's another thought I've adopted in the past that's changed my life. And I love these new beliefs, these new thoughts that pop into my mind. And I think, what would my life be like if I believed that? And 5 years ago, this new thought popped into my mind. And the thought was none other than, it doesn't get better than this. I was noticing a tendency at the time to think that tomorrow would be better than today. With my parenting, tomorrow my kids will be better than today. Tomorrow I'll be better than today. Tomorrow we'll get that house clean and then it'll be better than today. I saw it in my parenting. I saw it in my life. This new thought, it doesn't get better than this, was kind of a mind blower for me. It was huge. It was incredibly far-fetched in a way. And also I could see the value that if I did believe that, how everything in my life would change for the better. Anytime I can break down resistance, I become more loving, more kind, more capable. And when I can handle myself, when I can show up better, I am able to be a person that handle situations better. That is the parent I want to be. One of the things that I've always struggled with is this idea of being present in the here and now, thinking that the present is all I have, because I'm a mover and a shaker and I'm a doer. I like a list and I like to cross that list off one by one until it's totally complete. I like to fix things too. And I've always thrashed against the idea that this moment is enough, because what if this moment isn't great or it's even terrible? What if I don't want to be in this present moment? What if I just want to get out of my present moment? And you're telling me that this present moment, in my present moment right now, when I just want to take whatever action it takes to get out of it, and I've always been action oriented, right? I've always been moving and trying to progress, but you're in this thought, basically, it's encompassing this idea that this is a beautiful moment right here. And that's been challenging for me to wrap my brain around. Yet I have come to appreciate it so much. So in the last 15 plus years, I've had some situations that I couldn't fix, people that I couldn't save, friendships that dissolved that I was confused about, things that didn't turn around that I wanted to get turned around. And I guess you could say I was compelled to consider other options than just banging my head against the wall. This isn't working. This isn't working. And fighting, resisting. I was stuck in the resisting mode for so long. So I've taken this concept to a whole new level. In League, we talk often about this trip from mad to sad or resistance to surrender. And as a child, it's more simplistic. You know, our toddler doesn't get the cookie. They throw a big temper tantrum. They're mad. We continue to hold the limit. We say no. And eventually they realize they're not going to get the cookie and they move to sad. They move to surrender. They realize that they can't get what they want. In adult language, we would say the futility of the situation. As an adult, sometimes the situations we're up against seem so much bigger and more important than that cookie. You know, the trip that a toddler makes from mad to sad seems easy. Of course, you would want to surrender. And as an adult, it seems more challenging to surrender. I've always kind of thrashed against the idea that this moment is enough, because what if my present moment feels terrible? What if I don't want to be in my present moment? What if I just want to get out of this present moment? And this belief, this thought that it doesn't get better than this is telling me that this present moment that my action-oriented self wants to get out of is good, is enough. I feel like I'm a pretty powerful person. Like I can control my life and get myself into better moments. And sometimes that is true. But in the last 15 plus years, I've had some situations where I couldn't fix the situation, or I couldn't fix the relationship, or I couldn't change someone's mind. And as a result, I keep coming back to this thought of what if it's true? What if it's true that it doesn't get better than this? What does that even mean? Right? What does that even mean? So I've taken this concept to a whole new level. I read a quote from a book that says, being aware of the present moment simply means you never believe the illusion that the future is going to be better than what is going on right now. What? I love that quote. And when I first heard it, it totally blew my mind. I love it when quotes challenge me. I love it when they get me to stop and think and question. So let me read it again for you in case you were like me the first time I read it and was thinking, is that true? I always love it when people question. I love questioning things. I don't take things at face value. I want to really understand them. When we have office hours in my group, sometimes people will get on and they'll preface and they'll say, don't take offense. This might feel like I'm questioning you. And I always am like, you should question everything. Make sure you actually understand it and believe it. Because if you don't, you'll never embody it. If you can't believe that connection works better than correction, if you don't think that, it's better to help them process an emotion and you think you need to really lay down the law and lecture, you're never going to get to the next step. So question, everyone question. So let's read this quote again. Being aware of the present moment simply means you never believe the illusion that the future is going to be better than what is going on right now. Now, if you listen to my podcast for a while, you know that one of the main things I teach is awareness. That being conscious in this present moment and being aware of what's going on, or being aware of what caused the situation with your kids yesterday when things got a little crazy and you lost your temper, or when the kids pushed back, or when there was fighting, like understanding, having the awareness is critical. I often say it like this inside of my groups: awareness is the doorway to change, which I wholeheartedly believe. But this concept, this thought that being aware of the present moment simply means you never believe the illusion that the future is going to be better than what is going on right now. It takes this concept to a whole new level. Who do you become if in this moment you realize you have the capacity to make it a beautiful moment? So often we are sitting in a moment, like last month, I was sitting in traffic for over 2 hours, which I'm not accustomed to because we live in the mountains now and I'm not on the freeways nearly as much as I was when I lived in Phoenix. So I was trying to get to an appointment that should have been 45 minutes away and it was 2 hours away because of traffic. In moments like that, it's hard to think, oh yeah, this moment, it's as good as it's going to get, because our brains want to say, this is terrible. Okay, so let's loop this back into parenting. Even though I'm using lots of other examples, I want to use some parenting ones too. But I do want to say that the reason I'm using so many other non-parenting examples is because non-parenting things impact our parenting things. How we do anything is how we do everything, or how someone in League summed this up perfectly. She said, this is connect method living, which it really is. It's about healing our nervous system in all areas of our life. So some of the situations that our brain might resist the belief that this is as good as it gets is when our kids don't go to bed, or maybe they come into our bed to sleep and we don't get very good sleep. Our toddler has that 2-hour fit about not getting the cookie, or our teenager has this major meltdown because we told them they couldn't go hang out with friends before they got their homework done. And in those moments, it's very easy to not believe that this is as good as it gets. Or last month when I was at the DMV and we forgot to make an appointment at the DMV, which is a bad idea, you all. We sat there for a very long time. Other people Zoomed through with their appointments and we just sat there twiddling our thumbs and realizing we had made a terrible mistake, but we were already all the way down there, so we stuck it out. But in moments like that where things aren't going the way you want them to, or you've had an oversight and you realize you've made a mistake that's caused this problem, it's easy to judge and resist, which is the opposite of believing that this is as good as it gets, that this moment is capable of being a joyous, beautiful moment. Now, if you're wondering the validity of believing this, believing that the future is going to be better than what is going on right now, I'm with you. I was like, when I heard this, it resonated, but I thought, really, is this something that's going to, well, first be true? And is it something I really want to incorporate in my life? So I started researching. I'm like, how many places can I find this concept of the importance of being present in this moment and really appreciating today as the best it's going to be? And I looked up, like Googling all the things. So I'm going to move across all kinds of lines here, from the 12-step program to the Bible, all of the things. There's the evidence of this belief in all of these places, which I actually really love. I love when I find a concept repeated in different unrelated places, because it shows me that there's this connection, this consistency. And if we find it in lots of places, then it makes it even easier for my brain to accept. So in Matthew 6:34, if you read the Bible, it says, therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. There's different versions of that. I'm not sure which version of the Bible that came from, but basically be here. Don't worry about tomorrow. Just be today, here today. And then in Psalms 118:24, it says, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So to me, when I read those, the message seems to be saying, appreciate today. Don't think tomorrow is going to be better. Just appreciate today. Be here now. Realize that you can make today the best. And then I also found in Buddhist teachings, they say something similar. They say the secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn the past, nor to worry about the future, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. And then in the Jewish tradition, I found a quote by, I guess it was an anonymous rabbi, Rabbi Ben A. I guess famous. I don't know that much about it, but he said, the key to gaining the sensitivity to God's role in all of the details of your life is, trite as it may sound, to simply be in the moment. And then in 12 steps, they say accepting life on life's terms. So I love that we're finding this concept in so many places. As I was trying to decide if it was going to be one of the thoughts that I wanted to make my own, this was very reassuring. And I'd heard of this idea for years. I'd always thought, well, that's nice. That's a nice concept. And I'm doing things that help me be more present. I pray, I meditate, I do yoga, I write, I journal. I have a walking practice that I consider as quiet, meditative, prayerful practice. So I'm doing the things, but I admit I get easily distracted. My mind likes to be entertained. I think about my puppy. I love my dog. I think about my to-do list. I think about my kids. I think about my friends. I think about the books I'm reading or the podcast I'm listening to, conversations I've had, the state of the house, all the fun things we want to do this weekend. And it's really easy to think those other things that are happening, especially weekend plans or trips I want to take or things I want to get, that those moments when those things happen, that's going to be more enjoyable than this moment. Or also just thinking about those things is more enjoyable than just being present right now. So in the past, even though I've craved being in the present moment, I also acknowledge that it's been challenging. And my brain likes to think that when I get this or do this or people are like this, it will be better than right now. So when I read this thought, it doesn't get better than this, I really thought about it a lot. Thought, what does this mean? If it doesn't get better than this, if this moment is the best it's ever going to be, and then the next moment is the best it's ever going to be, and then the next, and then the next, my mind starts to explode. But what does that mean to me in my life? What does that mean to me in my parenting? Would I create in my life if I believed that, if I was able to truly be present in this moment and think, this is amazing. It doesn't get better than this. And then the next minute hits. That's the best moment. That's the best minute. That's the best time in my life. I've really had to reconcile that. One of the things that I know that is true from all of the work I've done is that our capacity for happiness has nothing to do with what's going on externally, right? Joy and happiness come from what's going on in our minds. So if it's true that I have the capacity to experience joy fully in any moment, from the moment I'm born, right? The only thing that holds me back from experiencing joy is my brain. From thinking thoughts that create joy versus thoughts that block my joy, right? So if you think that all of your capacity for joy is here right now, no matter what changes in the external world, the only thing that will ultimately change joy is how you're feeling or how I'm feeling or how you're thinking or I'm thinking. So if I think more about success, for example, if I think more about connection, if I think more about compassion, and I think about me doing better with my child's meltdowns, or if everyone had their chores done and the house was clean, which I would love right now. My house is so messy right now. And I think that the clean house, the lack of meltdowns will make me happier. I have to remind myself, wait, no, that won't make me happier. Because if I go back to what I know to be true, to the things I've learned, to the beliefs I've accumulated over the years, I believe that what makes me happy is my thinking. That's one of my core tenets, that I have the capacity to cultivate and practice and embody and create neural pathways of thinking that can generate more happiness on demand. And whatever thought I'm going to have when the house is cleaner, when the kids are better, is a thought I could actually have right now. This thought process, when I was unpacking it, has made my mind explode. It's really challenged me. I've had to sit and say, now, what do I believe? Do I really believe that? Is that really true? It was really hard for me to believe it and make sense of it. I hope I'm able to articulate it so that it's making sense to you. Then I thought, okay, so if this moment right now, if this moment right this second is as good as it ever is going to get, and the only thing that really ultimately is going to bring me happiness is a thought. Now, I can either have a thought right now in this moment that allows me to tap fully into joy and happiness and contentment and compassion, or I can have a thought that blocks me from being able to do that because I'm convinced that right now is not good and I need something to change so in the future I can think that. So here's one of the things that my brain has gotten stuck on. It's thought that if I'm so content in this moment, I won't keep getting better. I won't keep improving. I'll just be so full of joy and bliss right now that I'll just stop progressing. But the more I've thought about that, doesn't seem true at all. The most present, happy people are the most productive people. And in my life, when I've been the most satisfied and happy and present, I get the most things done. I learn more. I create more. I'm moving forward at an accelerated rate. It's when we have nothing to prove by having success or getting to that next moment, the kids being better, the house being clean, when I'm free of needing that to happen for me to feel happy, it is then that we become wildly successful, wildly productive. When we have nothing to prove by the success. When we're so in this moment and so appreciative of what's happening right now, and we don't need to escape it, that is when the next moment becomes even better. We bring in the joy from one moment to the next and it builds, it compounds on itself. Great athletes have to be so present in the moment. The best athletes, I remember reading a book about Michael Jordan where they were talking about his uncanny ability to be present on the court and in practice, and how that ability to be present in the here and now created his wild success in the future. It seems a little counterproductive. You're like, well, you got to be thinking about the future to create a great future. But what if the future is created by this great moment that creates a chain reaction? He created an amazing future for himself because he was 100% present now, not because he was always thinking about the future. And Gandhi said, the future depends on what you do today. Pope John Paul II said, the future starts today, not tomorrow. Franklin D. Roosevelt said, the only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. And Mother Teresa said, yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has yet to come. We only have today. Let us begin. So as I've studied lives of incredibly impactful people who have lived on the planet, what I have found is that they're invested in what they're doing today, and they're not going to trade this moment for some future moment. They're working on what they're doing now, and as a result, the future moments are created. They're never trading their happiness in this moment for some future moment. And so I've thought about that. What if I didn't trade my happiness in this moment because I was thinking about some future moment that I thought would be better, or even some past moment that I thought was better? So what if our capacity for joy is always available to us? Now, it might be limited by something in the moment. There might be other things that are preventing us from fully tapping into that joy. For sure, we're humans, we're messy. It's going to be our life work to be able to embody this, to be able to feel the joy and the presence in any moment. But putting that aside, if our innate capacity is the same in any moment, and the only thing that's limiting us, if we can't fully tap into that joy, is because of something that we can solve, something we can understand, something we can make peace around. But there's nothing wrong with us, and there's nothing wrong with this moment. So just because I'm planning to be more patient with my kids, or organize my house, or take an amazing family vacation, don't get me wrong, all those things are fantastic. But I don't sacrifice by telling myself, oh, that's when I can be happy. By denying myself happiness now, I don't get more happiness then. I don't need to wait until I'm more patient, the house is organized, or we take that amazing family vacation for me to feel the joy, the presence, the contentment, the happiness. Are you guys following this? Because it blows my mind every time I try to talk about it. I try to understand it. I try to unpack it a little bit more. So this is something that I do sometimes. I think, oh, when I have that, then things will get better. When my kids don't talk back, when they do their chores, when I've dropped 10 pounds, when I make more money, when I finish this project, then I'll be more at peace. When my kids are responsible and do their homework, when they go to bed on time, when we don't have fights in the house, then I'll be able to be different. I'll be able to feel differently than right now. And I'm sure you guys do some of the same things. It's so easy. This is what I discovered for myself, is these little thought loops that I've practiced over and over again, thinking, well, I can't be totally satisfied if I still have 10 pounds to lose. I can't be totally full of joy if the kids aren't doing their chores. But what if that's just a story we're telling ourselves? Because other people have told us that's how we have to feel. What if the truth is that we could really have that emotion of joy right now? The one that we think we'll get in the future when things are better, we could have it right now. I'm going to go through it again because this is sneaky. We think that when the project is completed, when the fridge is completely organized and wiped down, when our closet is clean as a whistle and we've only got the stuff in there we love, that's when we're going to feel better. But really, truly, what happens is just that your thought changes about the fridge or changes about the closet when it's cleaned up. That's why you feel better, because of what you're thinking, not because of the state of the fridge or the state of your closet. Those drawers in your closet or those shelves in your fridge have no ability to think or to emote or to impact you in any way. Feels like they do, but they don't. This was hard for me to wrap my brain around because my reality was when my fridge is clean or my closet is organized, I feel so good. And I thought it was a situation that was making me feel good, but it's really my belief around myself, around my productivity, around knowing where things are, my preference to have the fridge clean or my closet organized. That's what got me feeling better. It was my thoughts, because my drawers, my fridge, they don't have any ability to impact the way I'm feeling. I'm feeling this way because I'm thinking a certain way. But me thinking that I can't find joy, I can't find peace, I can't find happiness or contentment until my drawers in my closet are organized, my fridge is cleaned out, my kids behave better, whatever that belief is in your mind that's convinced that when this thing happens, I will feel happy. But what that's really doing is it's preventing you from feeling that emotion right now, because it is 100% possible. Does it take work? Yes. Is it hard sometimes? Absolutely. But knowing that it's possible allows us to create something different, even if I can't tap into it every moment, which, let's be honest, I can't. There's moments where my brain wants me to think the future is going to be better than the present. There's old pathways in my brain that are telling me that if the kids would just behave better or the house was cleaner, that I would feel better. And I have to remind myself, no, I would feel better because of how I'm thinking, and how I'm thinking can change right now. And I don't have to not have the house clean or not get my drawers sorted or not work on the kids behaving better. I get to have both. And it's so much more powerful. I get so much more done and better results when I come from this place where right now is enough. I don't need the kids to behave better or for my drawers in my closet to be organized for me to feel better. I want that. I don't need that. I'm not dependent on external things to create my emotional state right now. Does that make sense? By believing a future moment will be better than this moment, I'm diluting and missing out on this moment right now. So believing that this moment is not good, that some future moment is going to be better, as soon as this terrible moment is over, I'm missing the experience of being fully present and alive without judging this moment. And that has made my life incredibly more dynamic by understanding that. So now, knowing when my brain wants to go to some future moment and entice me to deny this moment I'm currently in, I'm like, I got you. Nope, I'm on to you. I'm not going to do that anymore. That's my intention. That's what I'm trying to do, is find the times where my brain is trying to prevent me from enjoying this moment, thinking that something else is going to be better. It's like, this moment's amazing, and so is that future moment. And let me unpack that a little bit further. If I continue to believe this moment's not enough and this future moment's going to be better, what's really going to happen is when I get to that future moment, I'm going to have another future moment that I'm reaching for that's going to be better. My husband and I have talked a lot about what it was like when he first started his software business 20 plus years ago. And as I was preparing for this episode, I thought about those conversations, and it really brought me home because times were really hard back then. We had hardly any money. We barely made it by. We had our first child during this time period. I was working as a nurse nights because we needed the extra pay I got at nights. My mom was watching our baby during the day while I was sleeping, trying to get some sleep. And then we'll laugh about this time where the first office they got was in this really rundown strip mall. It was all that could be afforded. And they put newspaper in the windows. This is my memory. I could be remembering wrong, but the newspaper is in the windows. They had hardly any desks. We think we got some really cheap desks from IKEA, if I remember correctly. Nobody came in and out because it wasn't a place where, customers came to them. They went to the customers to design, at the time, software for the customers. And their neighbor called the cops on them and said he thought they were a meth lab, which I can totally see why he might have thought that, because they went in and out at different times of day and nobody was really visiting them. And the cars we were driving were pretty just inexpensive, barely running, because that's all we could afford. His brother had a VW bus that most of the time wouldn't start and just kind of sat in the parking lot. And we had this little truck that would only start if you popped the clutch, and it was super squeaky, had a squeaky belt or something. So I could see how he might think like, ooh, who are these young people that are, it seems really sketchy. So I can totally see that. So there was such an ambition and grittiness and rawness to the work we were creating together. But because we weren't fully conscious in that moment, we weren't aware of how great it was. And we missed out on really enjoying those moments, those times. And I think we can all relate when we look at, the past and we think, oh, if we only could have appreciated what was going on, appreciated what the kids were doing, appreciated our health, appreciated the lack of our resources, the scrappiness we had. We laid our own backyard at the time. It was just so much work. We didn't know how to do sprinklers. We were in Phoenix. You have to do sprinklers in Phoenix. We didn't know how to lay them down and get the ground totally flat. And it was such a challenge, but we didn't fully appreciate how much beauty there was in that moment too. It was so, looking back, I look back with such fond memories and realize that I was not able to fully appreciate that moment because I was thinking about this future moment. It's going to be so great when it's done. It's going to be so much better when we make more money. And so I kind of missed out on it because I was busy thinking when the house is cleaner or the kids listen better or when everyone sleeps in their own bed, then it will be better. And, when I think about the parents I work with and, really helping them appreciate their kids and how they're behaving right now or appreciating their ability to parent right now, even if they're losing their cool or feeling frustrated or stuck, and even if their kids are misbehaving, making messes and having off-track behavior, and all their brain wants to do is just resist the moment. They just want to get to the part where they're patient, where the kids want to listen, where bedtime is smooth, where relationships are great. And I get it. And I often tell them, you won't ever get to the moment where you're fully accepting of yourself and your kids in the future until you get to the moment where you fully accept yourself and your kids today, right now. And that doesn't happen because your kids behave better or because you stay calm and connected. It happens because you made a decision to practice fully accepting yourself and your kids no matter what, regardless of external things, external stimuli, external situations. Oftentimes we think that we've accepted ourselves or our kids because things have gotten better. But really all we've done is changed our opinion of it. That's why we feel better. And is it easier to think positive thought when the situation changes, when our kids listen, when the house is clean? Absolutely. But remember, it's not because of the situation. It's because of what you're believing about the situation. And you know what? You can believe that regardless of if the situation changes or not. And in fact, if we can change our thoughts about a situation, regardless of the external circumstances, it's not based on external circumstances, we will find a way of managing ourselves in the present moment where it doesn't matter what's happening externally. It doesn't matter if the kids are listening or not. It doesn't matter if we slip up or not. We are on a journey and our capacity for joy is increasing, not because the kids are listening better or the house is cleaner or the relationships are better, but it's because our ability to tap into that capacity that's always there for us has expanded. It's not being limited anymore by the thoughts that think that the future is going to be better than today. So when we think we're going to be happier, when we think we're going to have more joy, and we think that the reason that's going to happen is because of the situation changing, we are confined to experiencing those emotions only when those situations happen. The reason you're happier when your kids are behaving better is because you're giving yourself permission to be happier. And like I said, it's easier to feel happier when your kids are not challenging your nervous system, not telling your nervous system to get activated. But it all goes back to your ability to tap in to the capacity to appreciate this moment just as much as any other moment and to find that peace and happiness now and not be waiting for that peace and happiness to come in the future. And that's just a mind blower, isn't it? I mean, even as I say that, I'm like, whoa, I remember believing after the baby powder blizzard of 2007, which if you don't know what that is, it's when my kids just doused our playroom with huge Costco-sized bottle of baby powder. It was devastating to me in the moment. And when I had that experience, I walk into the playroom and it's doused in white baby powder and they're white and everything looks like a blizzard. And I had this crazy miraculous moment and was able to be happy even though the house was destroyed. And I mean genuinely happy and deeply connected to myself and to my kids. And I was able to realize it was such a powerful moment of realization that I get to generate the emotional experience I want. It's possible. I didn't know how to replicate it at the time. I didn't know how it happened, but I saw that it was possible. And of course, once I got that, then I was able to start shifting things. When I realized I wasn't needing the external to change for me to change how I showed up. That's when things started shifting. Before I thought, okay, these external things need to shift for me to show up better. But when I let that go, then things actually shifted. So how do you reconcile being future focused with being present focused? And I say the way I'm able to do that is I'm able to be in the present moment when I'm also planning my future. And I don't trade this moment or believe that this moment is any less valuable based on some goal I have in the future. And I would say even one step further is my present moment, being here in this present moment helps me create a future that's more powerful, more loving, more kind, more impactful. It's wonderful to dream, to plan, to organize your life, but don't get caught up in thinking that your future will be better than your life you're living right now. The truth is the only place you'll ever be with your kids is right in this present moment. When they wake up for breakfast, that's the only time you'll be with them. And then you'll be with them in the next present moment and the next present moment. But all we have is right in that moment. And when we're constantly focused on what's coming next, you miss out on the beauty of the potential of the now. Life is happening right now in this moment. It's right in front of you. And if we can't find happiness in this moment, no future success or change is going to magically bring that to you. Happiness starts by being in this present moment, being grateful for what is right now and not needing anything to change to realize that this moment is enough. So let that sink in. Let that blow your mind. Let that change you, if you will. I am all about creating a life where you can have anything you want with your kids. Anything is possible. I firmly believe that. But you know where that life comes from? It's from a place of acceptance and happiness right now. We don't have to be unhappy. We don't have to be frustrated in order to make change. In fact, making change from a place of abundance and happiness and joy in this moment will make that change so much easier. We tend to want instant results, but the truth is you always have that available to you if you're willing to be in this moment and understand that your capacity for joy is already at 100%. Your ability to be happy is already at 100%. The only difference is you are waiting for some external thing to change in order to give you permission to be happy in that moment. It's easy to think, where are my perfect children? Where's all my stuff that I want? Because once I get that stuff, once my children are happy, once they're behaving better, then I'll be happy. And I just want us to question it. Like, are we going to be able to tap into it in the moment, right? After we listen to this podcast? No, but knowing it's possible can free us from thinking we're stuck. You can have all this stuff. You can have all of it and still not be happy. We all know people who seem to have everything and are still struggling. And that's because it's not the external behavior of our kids or the condition of our house that creates happiness. It's our thoughts about our life. So we don't need any of that stuff. We don't need our kids to change their behavior to be able to tap into this moment being beautiful. And I think I've understood that on some level. But what I've learned on a whole new level, and really what I'm hoping that this podcast episode is able to teach and show you, is that you don't need anything else. You can get it all, but you don't need it to be happy. If you're looking at something in your life externally and you think that's not great, and you don't think you're successful enough, or you don't think your relationships are good enough, or you don't think your kids are behaving the right way, or you don't think your house is nice enough, or you don't like your bank balance, it's not big enough, whatever it is, just know that those things do not have the ability to rob you of your happiness today. And you don't have to improve those things to feel better today. It doesn't mean you don't want to improve those things. I want you to improve your life and progress 100%. But just don't tell yourself that you will somehow be happier or better if those things change. Because right now, you can tap into happiness. Right where you are, it's available to you. You can find the peace and the joy in this moment, regardless of your kids' behavior. And when we really understand that, our lives change. I woke up this morning with a racing mind, thinking I was behind, and I noticed myself this morning saying, oh, I can't wait until I don't feel this racing mind. I want to have a peaceful mind. Or when my kids were little, I'd say, I can't wait till my kids sleep in. But this morning, I had to catch myself a little bit and be like, yes, that will be awesome when those things, when my mind's not racing. But it's not going to be any more awesome than this moment right now. And can I find the awesomeness in this moment? And so I sat there and I felt myself resisting it. I felt myself thinking, no, this moment is not as good as the moment when your mind isn't racing is going to be. And I asked myself, why am I believing this? Why am I choosing to believe that? Because conceptually, I know that I can be in a space of joy right now if I allow myself to experience it. And I will tell you what happened in that moment. I got up and I went on my walk because moving my body helps me be more present. And I started to drop in. I started to taste the ability to be more happy, more joyful right in that moment. And it wasn't because of anything outside of me. And that's the big difference. I didn't have to think about being grateful for anything. I didn't have to look at my life and see what I have. I didn't have to do any of those things to try to make myself happy. I got a little taste of what is possible for me to be happy regardless of what I'm thankful for or what I'm experiencing, that I could be happy regardless of what's going on in my life externally or what's going on with my kids' behavior or what's going on in my racing mind, that even with my mind racing, I can feel that joy and that peace. And I will tell you, it got me so excited. It got me so excited. And I really wanted to share that with you guys, because understanding that we can be happy, we can feel the full joy, we can feel content, whatever it is for you that you want to feel, that it's something you could feel now without anything changing is everything. So important. It's so powerful. And it's a practice. Like I was sharing when I got up, sometimes the mind is racing and my brain goes right back to, it would be better if you weren't, if your mind wasn't racing, if you weren't feeling a little bit of anxiousness right now. But that's not true. So I just bring it back if I'm able to and refocus myself, saying, nope, this is as good as it gets. It's okay. And I will tell you that got me really excited. And that's why I'm like, I have to record this. I have to share this on the podcast. And I have to make sure that I explain it in a way that you can understand it. And maybe we don't master this. And maybe we're not just sitting on a bench in nirvana all the time. But maybe just knowing that it's possible, knowing that we could really do that our happiness doesn't have to be wrapped up in a new house, in a trip, in our kids' behavior, that our happiness can just be wrapped up right now in this moment in our mind. And I think that's amazing. I think that rocks. I think that our lives can change even by just knowing this. We don't even have to be able to do it. Just knowing that it's possible can change everything. And so I hope that you seeing this in this way, in the way I explained it, was helpful. Can you see that it's possible? Could you see how it would change your life if you weren't trying to escape this moment for some future moment? Can you tell the difference between doing that versus being fully content, fully here in this moment and planning for the amazing future that you want to have, but knowing simultaneously that it doesn't have to happen and that it won't be any more amazing, that future moment won't be any more amazing than right now, that it actually can't be, because the amazingness, everything that's amazing is available to you right here in this moment, right now. I want you guys to think about this. It doesn't get any better than this, and that's not bad news. And if you think that's horrible news, it's because you're a normal human and you're looking outside of yourself to find things to make you happy. This is totally normal. It happens to me. It used to happen a lot. My brain likes to still go back there. But when we consider this idea that it doesn't get any better than this, what we're considering is that we do have the capacity to be fully present in this moment and to fully experience the joy right now inside this moment, that this moment has the capacity to offer us all of the joy we could ever want. And if we aren't able to tap into that joy right now, no worries. We get curious, we explore, we realize nothing has gone wrong. We're not broken. We just have something blocking us from being able to tap into that capacity. We're all doing the best we can. And if we could fully tap into that capacity to feel joy in every moment, I don't think any human would say, nah, I'd rather feel really terrible in this moment. So if we could, we would. And so we're on this journey of knowing, first of all, we have the capacity to, and now let me work on increasing my capacity to tap into this beautiful depth of joy that is there for me. I can figure that out. We can figure that out. We just have to get curious. We just have to explore what's preventing us from tapping into our full capacity to find joy in every moment, to realize that this is the best moment ever right now. And then the next moment is the best moment ever. And if we're not there yet, welcome to the club. That's just part of being human. We're not broken. There's nothing wrong. We just have blocks sometimes that keep us from tapping into that full capacity for joy. And I think this is the best news ever because it's something I can solve. This continues to revolutionize my world and the way I'm able to parent and the way I'm able to show up in my life. I want to be able to master it. That's my goal. And it's a continual practice for me. But I hope by talking about this today that you're able to see what's possible for you, that you can find joy regardless of what's going on externally, that it doesn't get any better than this. All right, you all. Thanks for having this conversation with me. I'm going to go head out on my walk now. It stopped raining. Have an amazing rest of your day or week. We'll talk to you next time. See you later. Bye, guys. Thanks so much for listening, you all. If you are ready to learn more about Connect Method Parenting, if you've been listening to the podcast and you think, ooh, I'd love to be able to implement this in my life and with my parenting more, then check out Pivot. It's my 8-week program where we deep dive into learning and implementing Connect Method Parenting so that you can take this information and transform your parenting journey. Head over to connectmethodparenting.com to find out when the next group starts.